Hey everybody, it's me, the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. It is Monday night, and this is Twisted Stitches. Welcome. We are so happy to have you all here with us. It's another Monday after a crazy, crazy weekend. We got a phone call this weekend from our landlord that there was a propane leak, an open flame of propane coming out of somewhere in the lines into the building. So they had to lock everything down and fix it all up, and we are back in service today. So thank goodness for a fantastic landlord and a great guy who takes care of our heating system for us. So yeah, that was our weekend. I hope you all had a good weekend too. So Paul, do we have any folks with us tonight?
So if the screen suddenly goes black, it means it went kaboom.
Well, hey, thanks.
All right, starting us off, we've got Jillian Goldrich in the house with a hello.
Jillian, do you have an alarm that you set for our show? Because I love that you're always like number one on the screen. There you are, my friend.
Donna Hajlo. Hi, everyone.
Hey, good evening. That's number two.
Kim Kerstetter.
Hi, Kim.
I was in Fairfield the other night, and I did put out there that I was going to the pizza place, just saying.
But you know what? Not everybody's there.
She says, hi, Leslie Marie, evening all. And
Good
Robbie
evening.
McCarthy says hello. And locally, Anna Maria Milani. Hi, everyone.
Welcome back from the high seas, Anna.
Marianne Murray Summers is in the house. Hello.
Hello.
He sounds like Bryce. Darren Showers. Hello from Cape Cod.
Hi, Darren.
Linda Witt Sims. Hello,
Oh, hi,
hello.
Linda.
Gloria Hummel Thies. Hello from Spring, Tejas.
Oh boy, Teja. Are you ever going to just say Texas? Probably not. When you say Nahalo, then you'll say Texas instead of Teja.
It's Nahajlo.
Yeah.
The J is pronounced. Nancy Parks. Yike, that's scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
Cheryl Bellinger. Hi from Chile, Florida.
I know. It's cool everywhere, isn't it?
Nancy Robertson. Hello, everyone. And Debbie Andrada. Hello from Pennsylvania.
Hey.
Donna Masung. Hi, all. And from Texas, Renee Richardson. Hello from Dallas.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hello, Renee. And we've got Rosemary Christopher in the house. Hello from Tennessee.
Wow.
Jeannie McLean. Hi, all.
Happy birthday to you.
Not yet.
Happy birthday
Not yet.
to
Not
you.
yet. No.
Yeah.
No. And we've got Paula Carlson. Hi from Florida.
Hi, Paula. And we're so glad that we have your retreat registrations.
Yay.
A cup of tea.
Where are you going?
I'm pouring a cup of tea.
No, you can't go.
I can.
Let's see. What else we got here? We got Kim Setter. Really? Why didn't you text me? Oh, I'm so used to putting notifications on the Facebook. I totally blanked on that. Oh, man. All right. Next time I do that, I'm going to text you for sure. My bad. Oriana Christina Bruno.
Yay.
Hello, everyone. And Lisa Barker Rosenfield says hi.
Hi, Lisa.
Maria Brandt, good evening from Missouri. Love the scarf, Paulette.
Thank you.
And Lori A. Royce, hi. Love your cowl, Paulette.
Thank you.
Lila Foster, fun discussion tonight.
Yeah, we're going to see. I hope so.
Nancy Parks.
Who was that? Who just a fun discussion?
Lila Foster.
Okay.
Nancy Parks, it hit 80 degrees in D.C. last Friday.
Yeah, it hit 80 below here today.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
In this building, it was pretty cold.
Oh, yeah.
And then they wanted me to come in while they checked everything. And I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to go in there or not?
Heat woes.
Yep.
Woes. Or
Heat
cold woes. Heat woes.
Who else?
That's it.
Oh.
Caught up.
Oh, we're all caught up. So a little birdie told me, i.e. Facebook, that we had two birthdays today, Veronica New and Jeannie McLean.
And you know what happens when there's a birthday.
I was trying to just sing Happy
birthday to you, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday, Jeannie and Veronica, cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha, and many more.
What, do we have to do the cha-chas?
Always, always. And of course, the obligatory follow-up song is, are you one? Are you two? Are you three? Are you four? Are you five? Wow, adding these two ladies together, we're going to be here a while.
Oh. Did you say that?
You know, I guess that kind of came out wrong, huh?
I think you mean adding.
I mean,
the
fact that there's two people.
Together,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's going to be a hard comeback. I'm going to have to send
that's
them
exactly
out
what
of
it
the
is.
sharing bucket.
All right, let's just keep going here. And Nancy Park says, happy birthday, Veronica and Jeannie.
Yeah, if we know it's your birthday,
Oh
we'd
my
love
God.
to celebrate you.
You know, we're trying to move forward. And what happens? Cheryl Bellinger, ouch. Lila Foster, that laugh with the laughing face emoji.
That was just not good. That's not good. Adding those two ladies. Adding two people's ages together? Is that what you meant, Paul?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's two people. That's why. That's why it's as much because it's two people. That's why. We go from one person to two people. So yeah, it's 100% increase right there. The Massa, good evening. So glad to be here. And your cousin, Michelle Cavallari. Did he really say that? Tell him to take his foot out of his mouth. Michelle, we're trying to get past it. We're trying to ignore that I even said that. And you guys keep bringing this up. How are you going to get past it if you keep bringing it up? Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
My first real estate broker used to say, some days I just open my mouth long enough to change feet. That's where Paul is right now. Maybe you should just be quiet the rest of the show. Oh,
yeah,
no,
good luck with that. Good luck with that.
That's as funny as your faux pas. Oh, God. Oh, boy, oh, boy. So, I don't know where to go from there. All I can say is I hope Jeannie and Veronica are laughing, too.
I don't know. I don't see her on anymore.
Oh, boy. I don't know.
I didn't mean anything bad by it. I honestly didn't. I just meant like two people instead of one. That's all. Two people's more than one.
Are you going to? All right. So maybe we should just go back.
Nancy Parks, maybe if Paul puts both feet in his mouth, he won't make comments like that.
I think he has both feet. He loses both feet in his mouth.
Oh my God, Maria Brand, face to palm comes to mind. Oh man, I don't think we're gonna get past this. Not for a while.
Lively conversation, except it's the wrong conversation. It's not the one we're supposed to be having.
Exactly. So let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So before I get into that conversation,
into the nitty gritty.
Yes, this is finished.
Jeannie McLean, of course.
This is finished. Oops. Let me move my lay flat to dry mug that Michelle gave me. Michelle Lewis. And it's done. I love it. I'm so excited. This is the Reba cowl. It was on my needles last Monday when we were here. About that much done at the time. And here it is. So you can see how fast it goes. And what a great, it was just a great little project to work on. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
It really, really was. And, you know, two different charts that they do have the pattern. It's written out as well as the chart, as well as charted. Excuse me. I am such a fan of the charts. It's, I much prefer the chart to the written, but everybody's different. So if you like the written word, they have it there. Yes.
Nancy Robertson, could you take it off and show us how it works?
Absolutely, my
On
dear.
the blocking cats, it looked like a shawl. How is it constructed?
Hold on. I have to put this here.
Oh, you got the mic. That's right.
So yes, on the blocking cats, it was flat. And then they have you sew up the back seam. So fold it at the center point where your center spine. I always call that the center spine when you're doing your increases around that. So you fold it in half there, and then you attach it like a neckerchief or a bandana, and the pattern tells you the circumference of the opening, but you can make it as small or as big as you want. Just sew up less and less of it. So you start from down from the base,
because it's all about the base,
and just seam up the back until you have the size opening that you'd like. And it's really cool because it stays on that way. Sometimes cowls can, you're always fussing with them, trying to get them to stay. So the way this is constructed, it's not long enough to have tails that come around the front so that you can knot it. So by doing it this way, it just makes it a little bit easier to stay on. And then when you put it on, depending on where you have your seam, where your seam ends, or I should say how much of the opening you have, it will drape more or less. So I didn't want a big drape on mine, so I sewed up the seam as much as I could. And what I did, as much as I could, until I was comfortable with what I had for an opening. I've seen them, if you go on to the Reba Cowl on Facebook, on Ravelry, and you look at the projects, and wait a minute now, Jackie Vandenberg actually has a project there. She's knitted this as well, and it's lovely. You will see, though, when you see Jackie's, she has a longer drape on hers, and some others are the same way. I want, and this is pretty close to what they say the opening circumference is. I think they said the opening circumference is 23 inches.
Nancy Robertson, ooh, that's interesting. Thank you. And Deb Master said that is very pretty. And Donna Nahajo, love the cowl name. Oh,
it's the Reba Cowl. Those of us who are country fans know, we just go right to Reba McEntire. But I don't think that's who it's named for, but that's how I remember it, and it's easy.
Thank you, Nancy Robertson. She put the pattern up at Ravelry.com.
Yep, and we have the kits on our website. And we knitted this with Artisano by Jody Long, and this was a great yarn to work with. Very, very nice, and I love the way it blocks. I love the way it feels in your hands. The fiber content on Artisano is 52% wool, 35% alpaca, 10% silk, and 3% viscose. And these little flecks are just such fun in here. They just give it a little pop of extra color in the piece, and it's in all the different colors combinations. So take a peek, see if it's something that you like. If you could always knit it with something else. But one of the things I wanted to mention is I used one of each color here, and if you wanted to, you could take the second. There are two charts. On the first chart, you've got double increases. You got increases on the ends and at the center. On the second chart, you just have increases at the center. Well, you could keep going if you wanted to and make it longer. And then, because there's enough yarn left to be able to do that. Or I'm just thinking I'm going to make a pair of fingerless mitts with whatever is left over. And it's just great. It's a great pattern. Easy. It's one of those charts that once you look at the line and you get your count between it's only a 4-stitch repeat in the chart. So once you get that down for each row, it's easy peasy. And the purl backs are simple too, because the purl backs are just the opposite of what you did in the actual on the front side. Any questions or comments, honey?
Nope.
Okay, I see you working there at the computer. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. And then I put little pictures of this up, pieces of it, but I don't think I've actually shown the whole thing. It's been a really busy month. 3 projects this month, all complete, but of course they've all been itty bitty projects. Itty bitty. This is probably the blanket was the biggest one. But I have to show this to you. I've been kind of hiding it because I didn't want to take it out until I wanted to give it as a gift first, but you know what? We'll never get to see it if I wait till then. So this is pearls on a string, and this is one of the little gifts that I've gotten knitted up for Paul's new baby granddaughter who's coming in March. So I just thought this was the most adorable piece, and someone is going to make lots of people, as soon as they come in the shop and see it, everybody loves it. It's just so cute, and it's so easy to work on. Somebody said they're going to make it for a little boy and make it colorful in blue in boy colors for them, and just so that, because they said these are supposed to be pearls, but they can be balloons, they're baubles, they're whatever kind of bauble you want. So cute.
I just put the kit up too.
Oh, thank you, honey. Cute as a button. This lovely little outfit here. Or
Donna says adorable. Does it come in Donna size?
does it come in Donna
No,
size?
I added the does it come in Donna size?
Doesn't come in adult sizes. It only comes in children's sizes. But that's that one. And speaking of that was your question. Does it come in Donna sizes? But that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight.
Lorraine Schiller, hi from New York. Cute sweater.
Thank you. So someone was sitting in the shop the other day, and she's a newer knitter, and
Deb Massa, that's so cute. What is the pattern name?
Pearls on a String.
Yeah, is that a kit or no?
It's not a kit. I hadn't put it up as a kit. I was afraid Erica might see it.
Shh. Oh, don't look now as the head spins around in the car.
So,
oh man.
So anyway,
so what's it called?
Pearls on a String.
Pearls on a String.
And I knitted that with Barocco Vintage, and that's the 9 to 12 month size. It looks like looks to me like it'll fit a 1-year-old easily, but it's been so long since I held a 9-month-old. I don't even know for sure. But anyway, that took one of the contrast color, and I had to break into a second ball on the main color. So now I'm knitting a hat.
Gloria Hamelthies says shared.
Thank you, Gloria. So now I'm knitting a hat. So there'll be lots of little pink things going on, and I'm having a ball.
That pink or mauve?
It's kind of a
mauvey pink.
Yeah, kind of a dusty pink. It does have some lavender in it. It does have some blue in it, so it's kind of a blue pink. So anyway, let's.
Oh, Deb Massa put the link to the pattern on Ravelry.
Oh, cool. And that one was knitted with Barocco Vintage, so we have lots of that. And it's a great selling yarn here as well. So let's go back to our customer. She was sitting here knitting, and she loves to come in the shop and just kind of hang here because it's her quiet time, and she can knit uninterrupted, which I think is so wonderful that people come in here and just take the time and sit and just have their peaceful place. But she said, as a newer knitter, she said, I wonder, when people are knitting, people who knit or crochet, both, it doesn't really matter, are they more artistic or are they more mathematic? And I said, it's a very interesting question. Why do you ask? She said, well, when I started knitting, I thought that it would be about having this finished project, but I never thought about how you get to the finished project. And she says, there's a lot of math in knitting, whether it's, how many times you go back and forth in one stitch to create a bobble, or how many yarn overs you're doing across a row, what the chart says. There's an awful lot of math involved in knitting. And when she said that, I thought to myself, yeah, I guess there is. The math that I always think about is when people come in and they want to knit a project, they choose a pattern, but they're not going to knit it in the yarn that the pattern called for. They want to knit it in whatever other yarn they decide. And so then we find the yarn, and we've got to calculate yardage. And sometimes we have to translate grams into yards based on the size of the skein. And we just go round and round and round and round to create, to come up with the number of yards and how many skeins they need of a particular project. So there is a lot of math, but there's also that creative piece of what we do, that creative part of us that wants to do all that and follow that pattern. It's kind of like a little mystery tour when you start, I mean, you've got a picture of what it's supposed to look like at the end. And then you've got a whole little jigsaw puzzle sitting here in front of you, and you start putting the pieces in. And sometimes it feels like you're starting around with the edges, and sometimes you're starting flat in the middle because it doesn't make any sense. The most important thing is to enjoy what you're doing and pay attention to that pattern, because, you know, the very first thing for me, knowing the knit stitch and knowing the purl stitch are just the beginning of being able to create. And when you can read a pattern and decipher that pattern is when you're able to then become that, take that artistic part of you to create what it is. And sometimes when I say, you know, is it magic? Because sometimes it seems like it's magic. You work and work and work and work, and you start to watch it come together. And when you see that pattern start to emerge from stitches, it's just such a satisfying piece. So the question that I put out to you is, why do you create? I don't want to say knit or crochet. I mean, we have needle crafters in our group. We have weavers, we have spinners, we have dyers. There's so many parts of the craft, the collective crafts that watch our show. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a mathematician? Do you see yourself as an artist, or or is it all encompassing in what you do?
Dina Justice says it's witchcraftery.
It's that's very good, Dina. Hadn't thought of that, but you know what? That's a good way to put it. It is witchcraftery. Anybody else have thoughts there?
Nora Gone, knitting designer, is also a math major. It feels lots of math involved in knitting, says Deb Massa.
Oh, Deb Massa. I thought Laura Vaughn was on the show. I'm like, wow, that's great. Hi, Laura. Yeah, and that's true. You know, there's so much I see in my vision is that the designers are the artists, and then we take their art and create a piece from it. And I love, just for me, the satisfaction of watching a piece come together. Something like pressed flowers, when I was knitting pressed flowers, to watch the little flowers emerge around the stitches was just so satisfying. I didn't want to stop with that sweater until it was done. Yes, Paul.
Cheryl Bellinger says, as a former high school math teacher, I agree there's a lot of math in knitting. And the Wonder Boy is on. He says it's a stress reliever for me.
And you're a spinner, so you know you're out there. I love watching people spin because they look like they're just kind of humming along, la 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 la. And for me, I just can't get that tension right. We'll talk about tension. It's all tension for me, and so spinning was not as enjoyable for me as it would be for some other people.
Marianne Murray Summers loved the math involved in tweaking a pattern to fit better. And Lila Foster says it's a colorist, landscaper, artist, calculator. And Nora Fox says, sometimes when I find an error in a pattern, I find that the error is a mathematical miscalculation.
Oh, and sometimes they are. That's a good point you bring up.
Oriana Christina Bruno, it's calming.
It's calming. Yeah.
Not for me, it's not. It's a stress creator.
I would say knitting is a stress reliever, and learning to knit is a stress creator. So It's just a matter of putting all the pieces together when you're learning, and it's staying relaxed, because we're not used to learning new things at this point in our lives.
Bryce Wonder says, I can't believe how people walk, knit, and hold a conversation at the same time. Haha.
Well, it all depends on what they're knitting, I think. You know, the people who are doing that, they're mostly doing the stitches that are familiar to them in a project that's familiar to them. So, you know, knitting the little baby blanket that I knit one row, purl one row, that was easy. I could have done that walking around.
I'm not so sure.
Socks for some people, very easy to do. If I wanted to just knit in the round right now while I was talking, well, you know, when we're on our show, I could do that with the little hat that I'm working on. Depends on the project for me.
So Libby Cook, I know I'm more on the artistic color work side, also a stress relief. Some of the knitters I have known are more like engineers / designers.
Well, I honor people who take the time to design and come up with their own ideas and put those ideas onto paper and then take them and put them into a pattern. That's amazing to me. And I'm sure that if I took the time, there are so many design classes and apps that are out there today. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I just I don't want to work that hard at it. And for me, I'd rather take one of Whitney's designs or Jody's or somebody on Ravelry, Petite Knits, whoever it is, and knit Sisu and work their patterns up because they're just fantastic.
All right, Dina Justice says, I'm an engineer and math whiz, and interesting enough, I'd rather read a chart than follow words.
I would too. I think the charts I get through the chart so much faster. To me, when I'm looking at the words on a written pattern, the lines can be so long. All those knits and purls and parentheses and do this many times. It's like, whoa, just give me the chart. I find my repeat inside that chart. And like with this one, the bigger the piece got, the easier it was because you're just repeating that same thing over and over. And it's a pattern. So if we think of it as a group of stitches, as opposed to one stitch at a time within that pattern, it's going to be a lot easier.
Bryce Wonder says, when I spin, I hardly have to look at the wheel. It's the feeling I trust. I can see how knitters get into their own groove.
Yeah, it's a little zone we get in. And I always know if I'm, especially working in the round and doing stockinette stitch in the round, you're just feeling for where that yarn is with your finger. And once you've caught it. So it gets easier.
Lisa Barker Rosenfield says, Cecilia Campachero's sequence knitting is a perfect example of designs by a mathematician.
Yeah, there probably are a lot of designers who are mathematicians because they think their minds think that way. We have one person who's at our knitting group every Thursday who adjusts every pattern that she knits because she wants it. She has a long torso and she has long arms. And so at this point, she knows how many more rows she has to do, but it's not just how many more rows she has to put on that pattern, on the length of the body, depending on what yarn she's using, the thickness of the yarn. And of course, a row or 2 rows of bulky knit yarn is going to be a lot bigger than 2 rows of DK weight yarn or sport weight yarn. So then she does all the math on the sleeves and where the decreases have to start. So I wing it a little more when it comes to that. On my sleeves, for example, because my arms are shorter, if I start the decreases where the designer usually starts them, I'm starting my decreases somewhere down closer to my elbow. And the shaping in the sleeve is off for me. So I have to start my decreases earlier. I've also have to end them earlier so that I have the right size cuff or the right size around my wrists when I start my cuff. So I think once you start knitting garments like that, you get to know how long you want it to be and how many more rows you'll need to add or how many more inches you'll need to add to your pattern when you're knitting it. Do you have comments there? I don't want to interrupt. No. Okay. So someone mentioned before when they find a mistake in a pattern, it's sometimes mathematical. Yes, it often is. And sometimes people forget, the pattern writer forgets to change a knit to a purl, and that can throw us off too. You just never know. So you've got to read through those patterns and make sure if you don't understand it, then reach out, because if you don't, to reach out to me, reach out to the designer. Ultimately, unless I've knitted it myself, I'm going to reach out to the designer if I can't figure it out.
Nancy Park says, I think a lot of crafts are mathematical and chemical / biological. You haven't mentioned the yarn content impacting the way someone or something hangs or drapes.
Well, that's a great piece, because there are times, a great comment. There are times when people come in and they'll want to knit a particular sweater or shawl,
Wada.
and they'll go to a yarn, and when I look at the fiber content on the original pattern or the original piece, I take that into consideration and say, how does the designer want this to drape? So if the designer is using something that's got alpaca and wool blend, and the person who wants to knit it wants to knit it more in 100% wool, well, then it's going to drape differently. And so we do talk about that, and gauge too. Just because a yarn is a DK doesn't mean that every DK gauge is exactly the same. Yeah, they're close, but they're not exactly the same. And that's where swatching comes in, is eminently important when you're knitting. We don't do it when we're doing, oftentimes we don't do it when we're doing scarves and shawls, but when we're knitting a garment that has to be fitted, a sweater, a jacket, etc., we've got to swatch. Yes, Paul.
Nancy Park says mosaics involve a lot of math and chemistry. How's chemistry involved?
I don't know the chemistry part of it. You're gonna have to help me with that one, because that one I'm not following.
Oh, we had some chemistry happen with a scarf yesterday.
Chemistry happened.
Yeah, I got the caffeine chemical on my scarf, and you soak washed it to take it out.
It's not chemistry, it's suds. Yeah, Paul got coffee on his cashmere scarf, so I just put it in the silk washer. I was doing this. I said, okay, give me your scarf. I'll do that one too at the same time. And it came out nice and sparkly clean.
Sparkly.
And then I hung it in front of the fireplace to dry, and it was all dried. So, like, ta-da.
Ta-da!
So I'm wondering if Nancy's going to explain to us the chemistry part of this.
Jillian Goldrich says, the math is so important when doing a gauge swatch. If the stitches per inch does not match, you may change the size, the needle, or do the math to adjust the size.
All right, so we've got someone right now. She chose a sweater pattern.
Sweater.
The pattern calls for a DK yarn, and she just cannot get the gauge. Her knitting is so loose that no matter what needle size she goes down to, it's still not working. So I think what we may do is have her swatch on a sport weight, find a sport weight yarn that she likes, and I probably have some left over here of the yarn that she'll choose, and we can have her do a gauge swatch on a sport weight, and maybe she'll get the right gauge by using that weight, and hopefully she'll be able to get her sweater started.
Sweater.
Is it warm in here now?
No, not at all.
No,
it's you.
It's me. I'm hot. How's that?
Works for me.
Yeah, right. I did a Paul Meyer.
That's Nancy Park says chemistry in terms of what will stand up to exterior presentation. Even with marble, different colors marble will cut differently.
Okay, now I understand what you mean. Yes, the chemistry of the yarn and how it was. So that was the drape and stability and how it's going to hold up. Someone wanted to knit. Can't remember which pattern it was.
Margaret Oliveira, evening. Love the scarf with a double heart emoji.
Thank you.
And Lila Foster says, I like to hold two strands together, which involves calculating yarn weight, needle size, and more.
Yes, if you're going to hold two strands of yarn together, you've got to do your gauge swatch that way, because sometimes it's just that finest strand of mohair can make a difference in the yarn weight, and sometimes it doesn't. So
Lisa Barker Rosenfield, a different needle material can change your gauge.
Yep. And it's really interesting talking about the needles. We all know that I am definitely a wooden needle fan. I didn't have this size needle at home. I didn't have a 16-inch wooden needle at home, and I had these that I had gotten as a sample. They're scissors, and they, can you see the little ridges in there? It's a metal needle, but it has a little tiny, see it?
Yeah.
The little tiny ridges in there. And I'm actually not hating it. It's working very nicely. I'm able to get through my hat, and I'm not usually with metal needles. I find the needles, my work sliding right off my needles. But for some reason with this little, there's just enough grip on here for me to be able to, yeah, I like these. Pretty cool. So just something else to think about too.
Lisa Barker Rosenfield, those are the Addy squares. I love them.
Well, they're not Addies. These are not Addies. They're scissors.
Sisal?
Scacel. SCACEL. And I will be seeing these folks at H&H Americas too. So I'm look a little bit more into these. I like that. I like that little grip that it gives on the fabric, on the fiber when I'm knitting with it.
Lisa Barker Rosenfield says Skakel makes Addy.
Okay. So Addies, yes, and it's just like there are a lot of different brands under umbrellas. So I don't know that this is, but I don't remember seeing Addies on there. But if it is, then I stand corrected.
Sue Libby Cook, but I think Addy makes them.
Okay, well, yeah. Thank you, ladies, for that clarification. And that whichever they are, whoever the manufacturer is, I just remember seeing the Scacel on there. I'm loving them. I am definitely enjoying these. So, and I know that there are so many. Knitter's Pride has probably 12 different, if not more, different sets of needles under their name. And for the Knitter's Prides, I love the Mindful collection. My likies, I just like the Driftwoods and the Groves. Those are my favorites. And so, but I've been knitting with wood needles for so long that when I switch over to a metal needle, and yes, it does make a difference in your gauge. And I've heard from so many people, and I don't do it, so I don't know if it's true, not to change the type of needle in the middle of a project. So if I have to go to 2 DPNs, I don't want to, or 2 circulars when I get to the crown on the hat, I don't want to use one of them in metal and one of them in wood.
Deb Massa says, I love wood needles, but humidity made mine swell and changed my gauge.
Wow. I never heard of that before. That's really interesting.
And Sue Libby Cook says, I just started using a regular pair of them and I love them. I always use wood, so was surprised I liked, and they weren't too slippery.
Slippery? Did she put WY at the end?
No, I added that for dramatic effect.
Oh, you're so dramatic. You are so dramatic. So that was, I just was curious on how you look at crafting. And if I never, maybe this is it, I never considered myself a mathematician. Paul knows I am.
I'll go with that.
It's not my strong suit. I'm okay with that. But when you're helping people decide how many skeins of yarn they need to buy, you want to make sure you get those calculations correct. And we had a customer in here on Saturday, and she was doing her little algebraic equation. It was funny because I started doing my math the way I would do it to count, to change it from grams to yards, and then to calculate how many skeins she would need. So I'm doing my math, and she starts doing an algebraic equation. And I said to her, I just can't do it. I have to do it my way. And so her husband was so cute. He said, well, you do it your way and have her do it her way. And let's see if you both come out with the same answer. And sure enough, we did. So, as my triathlon coach used to say, it doesn't matter how you cross the finish line as long as you get there. So I don't care how you figure out your math, as long as when you're done with your project, it fits you and you're happy. And that's the most important thing. And we are all a combination when we are crafting. We are a combination of knitters, of mathematicians, of artists, and sometimes we are definitely magicians. So just keep on crafting, folks. We're having a great time. So little conversation for tonight. Questions? Are there any more comments?
No.
I thank you for sharing this den with us. I'm going to go to the sharing bucket and see what we've got here.
Who wants to win? That's the question of the day. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl knows.
Only I know.
Shake them up, Nitty Gritty.
Sorry. I'm spending too much time with you.
And the winner is nobody, because it fell back in. Da-da-da-da.
Diane Gondak.
Diane Gondak,
Wow,
congratulations.
Diane,
You are our winner today.
Congratulations. Okay, everybody. I am going to, I got one. Now that they got the heat fix, it's just dying in here. Have a great week, everybody. It was wonderful to spend a little bit of time with you all. I hope to see you real soon. Take care. Stay safe. We love you. Bye-bye.